So I went in hospital on the 20th, right? I walked into, Whipps Cross Hospital, right? I remember what my wife took me there. I remember walking into Whipps Cross Hospital, and then at this time, I think Steve was okay. He wasn't as bad as me because he didn't have to go to hospital. It was when I was hospitalised, he was going up and down. So a few days he was good, and a few days he wasn't. So I was in a coma for 7 days. 5 hours after being admitted, they put me into a coma. Then I got moved to after 24 hours of being in my local hospital, got moved to Barts Hospital, St Paul's. I woke up there 7 days later out of my coma, and then 2 days after that, which was the 29th of March. Now I got moved into the ward. My wife gave me I was allowed my phone. My wife bought my phone for me and said, "Oh, Steve's been admitted." I said, "That's okay, it's fine. He'll be all right. He'll be out." I'm only referencing myself. Like, lockdown happened whilst I was in a coma. I locked it up on the 23rd. I went on the 20th. So my only reference was me. So I said, "Steve's going to be okay. So he'll be out in 2 weeks' time." I got discharged. And then after a week, Steve's still in a coma. After 2 weeks, still in a coma. 3 weeks, he's still in a coma. They tried to take him out, reduced sedation. And he got, whatever the term was, he was getting stressed. He kept biting the ventilator. So they kept putting him back under. 3.5 weeks later, they took him out of sedation. And the old test to squeeze my finger, track my eyes, put the finger in front, tracking. When they took him out of the coma, he opened his eyes. His eyes were open. So then they done the test, and then they realised he's not tracking, he's not responding. That led him to do a MRI scan and a CT scan, which shown that the virus had gone into his nervous system, gone up to his brain, and damaged cells that we all need. And he got diagnosed with acute hemorrhagic leukoencephalitis, which is one of the worst brain injuries you can get. And he's left him in a prolonged disorder of consciousness. He's not able to, like you said earlier, Steve's not able to move anything. His eyes, so he's up to this date now, 18 months later, he's still in the same condition of where he was when he opened his eyes. He opens his eyes, he can't move his body. He's being fed with a peg, which is a tube in his stomach. All of his organs in the first 3 weeks had failed. They was fighting to keep him going. He had to have 2 rounds of CPR within the first 3 weeks.
Yeah, that's Bobby. Those of you on the scene who play a party about, and those even people who are not on the scene will have heard about Bobby and Steve. And that was him telling a story about COVID. Most people tell me COVID doesn't exist or whatever. There are real people who have had real experiences. And that was from September 2021. Plan now to do more, to help more. I've got to say, Bobby's here again. How are you, fella?
I'm good, Eddie. Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah, I'll get to your wife in a minute. What's it like listening to yourself?
Well, I didn't know that was going out right now because we're in a studio. I didn't have it on, and you pressed the button. It was like, okay, because I thought that's how we was going to start the interview for me explaining.
Should I have prepared you? Sorry.
No. I'm just saying. So I'm going to answer the question about how it felt. How it felt was just wow, thinking like it was 2021, and that was 3 years ago. Yeah, sometimes things hit you harder than others when you don't expect it, and even if you do expect it, it doesn't sadden me hearing that. It just confirms the journey that we're on, and even more so what we're going to talk about today.
Yeah, we're here to talk about we're helping other people, and I always say on my show I have a special place for people who are going through tough times and then dedicate their time to helping other people. But we get to that because I feel with you're trying to make up for all the bad things you've done in your life. And there's a lot of them.
Amen. Amen. But sometimes it takes trauma for you to realise.
Oh, I tell you what,
man's got to do that.
You never know. You need to know. You need to feel the rain to know when the sun is shining. How is your brother doing?
So it's been...
Before you answer me, I just want to be really honest with you. I saw one of you put something up on Facebook. And obviously you've been in, and we talked about how it impacted him. But I don't know that I was prepared for how much he had changed. And I think because you see it all the time, perhaps you've become used to it. It is very, very dramatic, and it is very, very different. So with that said, that's my truth. With that said, how's your brother doing?
So Steve's doing what? So I'm just thinking because I said to my wife the other day, maybe about a month ago, I was visiting Steve and I said, I don't know if I feel guilty or something, but I feel like you get used to the situation, just of what you just said there. But how is Steve doing? Steve, okay, so I want to just say this. Steve's been diagnosed, like I said, on the thing you just played. Steve's been diagnosed with acute hemorrhagic leukoencephalitis. Now, when you Google that is one of the worst brain injuries you can sustain of encephalitis. And when you Google that and look at the statistics and everything else, it says normally results in death within the first 7 to 14 days because the virus attacks your body so rapidly you don't stand a chance. Well, God is good. Steve's still here. So against all odds, how is Steve? Steve is doing brilliant considering what I've just said. It's still no major progress. What we've seen now is Steve hasn't gone backwards. Let's just put it that way, which is a blessing. He's in a great care home in Hazelmere, a neurological care home. He's getting great treatments. And Steve, now we will say in the last year, maybe just over that, when we go to see Steve and he's in his wheelchair, if he's sleeping or if he's up, his eyes are open and he's quiet, and we say, hey, Bob, Steve, it's Bob. Within the first minute, Steve goes, He's making them sounds. It doesn't happen throughout the whole of the visit when you're there, but initially that's what's happening. And Steve's wife Julie was with him yesterday, and she sent a video, and he's done the same thing. So was that happening before? No, it wasn't. Do we know how long it's going to take for things to improve by themselves? No, we don't. Does anyone know how long it's going to take? No, because this is so rare. Is
that your hope?
It's always been our hope, and more than the hope, it's our belief. Do you know what I mean? Because we're a family of faith, a family of belief. We don't give up, and it's not because of this situation. We don't give up on anything. We try and we go and we go.
Okay.
And I just believe that that Steve is in a. Okay, so when you're in this situation, not knocking any consultants out there, they don't know in this country how to really deal with acute hemorrhagic leukoencephalitis. Steve's in a prolonged disorder of consciousness. Right, so the care factor is 100%. But let's try and get into the brain. I've hooked up with a lot of people around the world since this has happened. Joined the Encephalitis Society in 2022. I was invited to speak at their conference in Birmingham, and we're in it as a family, and I'm just marching forward and finding things and doing things. You don't know, but you have to keep on going, and we're not going to give up, because if I was in this situation, Steve would be doing the same. There is things that can improve yourselves, so let's try it, and that's the thing.
So what you're talking about is hope.
Yeah.
Yeah, and for lots of us, if you give up on hope, you give. Let's come to the power in this. Is it Silma?
It is.
Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Eddie.
Last time you came in 2021 or whatever, you were in the background more, weren't you?
I wasn't featuring
so
last time.
So how comes you're speaking now?
Because we are here to talk about the launch of the Bobby and Steve Foundation.
But before we do that, I just need to take everybody on the journey. Do you mind?
No, that's absolutely fine.
How's your husband changed since this happened? He looks to me like somebody who's got what I've got, right? And it ain't great. It's called, because my brother died in the same time as COVID started, and I definitely have something called survival guilt.
Okay.
Tell me how your husband is doing.
He's doing really well, because I feel that he potentially has got a bit of survival guilt due to the fact that he went into the hospital before Steve did, came out absolutely fine 7 days later, and Steve didn't. And they both went in, both had exactly the same treatment, different hospitals, but they had exactly the same treatment. So I do feel that he's doing well because he is determined to do what he can for Steve. So he keeps marching forward.
So the guilt, in a way, the guilt drives him.
Yeah, because he hasn't always. He's not always great. Yeah, for sure. Because he's not always great. Obviously, he has his down times. There are times when he mentally, it's a lot to deal with when it's like you've had your right arm cut off. So because Steve's not just his twin brother, Steve's his business partner. They talk every day. They fly everywhere together on DJ gigs. So their whole lives we're around each other.
Everything's changed. You can go.
Everything's changed.
Pre-diagnosis, post-diagnosis.
100%, yeah.
How are you doing? Is it Julie?
Julie's Steve's wife.
The other thing, and I am so sorry, but my empathy or understanding comes from my own experience. So I hope you don't mind. But I realised when I was given the all clear from my cancer that the real people who'd suffered wasn't me. I didn't suffer. It was my mum and my wife.
Your nearest and dearest, yeah.
Might I ask you, Selma, how are you and Julie doing? Sorry to do this in front of him.
Yeah.
It's a bit weird.
We continue. Look, for me, I feel that my job really has been to support my husband and Julie. So as much as I have been affected, just as much as, because I have known Steve for as long as I have known Bobby, all of my life. So
I know you had a choice between the two of them, didn't you?
I wouldn't go so far as to say that.
She ain't going to answer that, is she?
Okay. Look,
But yeah, so for sure, it's a really rocky road. There is no smooth path. And the same for Julie. It's, you carry on, you go to work, you do what you have to do, but you know that it's with you every day.
Yeah. Let's talk about the foundation. In order to understand the foundation, in the best time, just how big were, because I'd never really met you. I mean, you come from the same place as my parents in the Caribbean, but certainly heard about you in the same way I imagine you'd heard about that guy, the little guy from Casualty or Real McCoy or whatever, but we'd never met
until 2021.
Yeah. How big were Bobby and Steve?
How big were Bobby and Steve? Well, Bobby and Steve, we started DJing in 1984. We was 20 years old, left school in 1916. Started playing soul from a soul background. 1985, we got on Kiss FM as pirate stations. 87, we started doing warehouse parties and everything else with Norman Dre, Trevor Mad Hatter, all them, Jazzy B, everyone there. 1987, went to New York for the first time with Norman J and a few other cats, and then we went to the club called the Paradise Garage, which was significant for house music and disco in New York. Started in 1977, closed 3 months after we visited in 1987. We was blessed and fortunate to go to that club. That was the change of our life and career.
You're big things.
Pardon?
You're the big deal. You're the real thing.
So we came back and we was one of the pioneers to do soulful house music. Right. And to this day, I'm proud to say that we haven't stopped and left our genre of music. So we had the biggest clubs.
It's only because I could obviously do an hour with you guys, but I have to make sure that we talk about the foundation and I can see the time. Yeah. You definitely, because I see Bobby and Steve playing out now. Yeah. So you definitely play out on your own and carry it.
So what happened was, when this happened to me, like Stillman said, I was experienced this as well, with the COVID in a coma and ventilator. After that, the first 3 months dealing with Steve, dealing with my own trauma, double whammy, I said, well, actual fact, when I came out of my coma, I had a spiritual thing that happened to me, which was just beautiful. And I said, I'm not going, this is when I was in intensive care. And I said, I'm not DJing no more. This is before Steve was admitted. I said, I need to change my path. This was in ICU, this happened. So I came out thinking, not doing music no more. I had a great run. It's all good. And then I was in a bad way for 3 months, as expected. Took therapy for that. And my therapist, bless her, she was amazing. She said to me, don't give up your DJing. Every time you speak about music and about Steve, you light up. Now, because we was having Zooms in COVID. And of course, family members are saying, don't give up. But it takes someone else. There was just a connection between me and her. And she said, even if you just do it for a little bit. So that's what I'm doing now. I'm keeping the name alive. Okay. Before we was doing 4 or 5 times a month, on a plane twice a month, pre-COVID. It's like, no, I'm just doing it twice a month now, taking 2 bookings a month. Of course, if anyone else wants to book me and you're paying good money, I'm going to put more.
That's not why you're here.
No.
That's not why you're here.
No.
Okay.
But what I'm saying...
No.
But what I'm saying... So now I'm just flying the flag twice a month to keep it out there, and I'm getting enjoyment and love and a different experience from it now.
What are you doing? Why are you here?
So, for the foundation.
Yeah.
So, what happened was, about 2 years ago, I just started thinking deep because of what's happened, and I'm thinking, okay, it was always in me, just thinking, got to do more, and I just thought that, okay, if we're blessed because of the amount of effort, the amount of time we've put into the clubland and to radio and to all the music industry, what we've done since 1984, I believe we're going to leave some sort of legacy here. It's going to be good. But I thought that's not going to be enough. I wanted to do more. So I said, and then the Bobby and Steve Foundation just came into my head. I didn't even have to search for it. And that I said to my wife, I want to start a foundation. We want to help other people who's going through what we've gone through and what we've learned along the way, and give out grants. My wife's going to be running it. So that's why the foundation was really formed.
How will it work? Maybe so we'll ask you. You will put on gigs, you'll have money, and then you will give money to who?
So we want to be able to award grants to other community neurological companies. We will work with people who have suffered from neurological injuries, and basically what we want to do is, yes, there may be gigs, but really it is just about trying to get people to donate as well, marrying up with other companies such as the Encephalitis Society, and basically, hopefully, getting as much money as we can so that we can then award grants to people who might need it in their situation.
So, Bobby, in an ideal world, give me an example of the type of people that you'd be helping.
First and foremost, people who've gone through what we've gone through, families who have gone through, and even less with because you could have encephalitis, we could have encephalitis and still get on with our life. Mild encephalitis, you suffer memory loss and prone to get epilepsy. So we met people when we went to the foundation, when we spoke in 2022 in Birmingham at the Encephalitis My Brain, My Story conference. So seeing them people as well, I believe that sparked us to help people. Like if you can't afford or you're not granted to get enough therapy, for instance, right? We want Steve to get more therapy. He's getting that, but he's only allowed a certain amount of time. Physical therapy. So there's loads of different things on the criteria. You have to meet the criteria once. We've got the website, which is the BobbyandSteveFoundation.com, and then you meet the criteria, and then we can award you up to £1,000 to help along the way with that, what's needed to improve your situation.
And if people wanted to find out more, where could they go now, Selma? Where should they go?
Initially go to the Bobby and Steve Foundation website. There's an awful lot of information on there. We've done a lot of research over the years. Steve's wife, Julie, obviously went on a pretty rocky road. I feel that social care were not on her side at the time. And to be honest with you, we feel that the amount of information that we have found out about, it is about making sure that somebody else doesn't have to go on that rocky road, which hopefully they come to the website, they will get information. They can contact us via email. We have info at the Bobby and Steve Foundation. Contact us if we can send information out to them as well. Yeah. So either way.
So basically help for people who might be going through what you went through.
Exactly.
And all the things that you wish were there. Because it's the thing that we've done. Who cares for the carer? Because she's doing it.
Yeah, exactly.
Where's the support coming? Well, we wish you the best of luck. Yeah. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you so much for that.
And people are thinking about people like you who don't believe that you are in a position to grieve or to worry because you're so busy worrying about other people. You do have to look after yourself.
Sure.
Yeah?
Thank you.
Thanks for coming in, fella. Look after yourself.
Yeah, we'll do.
And then I tell you, my computer broke down, so I'm looking for some new... No? Is that inappropriate? This is BBC Radio.
Well, you told me off for talking about gigs. Thanks for having us, guys. A pleasure, honestly.
Thank you so much.
BBC Radio London Travel News now. We'll start...